Hi, Jim. Carry on. It's your 30 minutes next.
All right. Well, thanks, Leo. I appreciate the introduction. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I just want to do a quick inventory check with everybody. Who has really appreciated this weekend so far? I mean, have you gotten some great value out of the speakers, the presenters, all that Leo has done here today? If so, just type a big yes in capitals in the chat so that I know that you got some good value out of things so far. I know for me yesterday, listening to Dr. John Gray, I could not write fast enough. That guy was just absolutely fascinating to listen to. And I know for sure I'm going to be visiting his site to learn a little bit more. Because as Leo says, I have run a renovation construction company for 25 years, and I'm also a relationship coach. I've been a coach, mentor, and a pastor for 30 years. So I help people in all areas of relationships. And myself, I've been married for 38 years. So as I tell people, I know how to get in the doghouse and out of the doghouse really well. And if I have to stay in the doghouse long term, I can actually build a nice doghouse so that I'm comfortable. So I've got every area covered. And it's just been really great to be here. And I really appreciate all that Leo has done in putting this event together. I think it's just been absolutely great. Listening to Amir Ezra, my mindsets are always shattered every time I listen to that man. He just challenges me on, the words and just my understanding, interpretation of words. It's just absolutely amazing. Of course, my dear friend, James McNeil, he and I spent a lot of time together having conversations, and he's just an absolutely brilliant, brilliant mind. And of course, everybody loves Raymond Aaron. He was my first publisher. He's been a mentor and a coach to me as well. Absolutely, really admire him. So all the people that Leo has brought on this stage have been, just top notch. He's brought some world-class people in here, even the presenters today, sharing their thoughts and ideas. Rakesh, he's like a brother to me, and I just really enjoy and appreciate him. And so I want to take a little bit of time and just talk about defining success. Because we're here, we're talking about real estate, we're talking about investment. And well, tell me, why are you here? Why did you choose to be here this weekend? I mean, it's a long weekend here in Canada. I know we got people from Canada, the US, and from South Africa, from all over the place. Why did you choose to be here? My guess is that you really want to take things to the next level, that you do want to grow, that you want to understand this new economy that we're in. You want to understand this thing with COVID and how it shifted the world, which, by the way, I love doing these events online. I mean, I was doing live events and driving into the city all the time. Now I get to sit back and do them from my own home. In fact, this weekend, my wife and I, we have a travel trailer, a fifth-wheel travel trailer that's about 3 hours north of Toronto. And I'm up here this weekend. I'm using my phone as the internet hotspot, and I'm doing my Zoom call from up here. I've got a 300 square foot travel trailer, and I'm just enjoying it. It's like a condo on wheels. And so we come up here quite often. And it's in the little town called Wyerton. And if you Google Wyerton and you see it on the map, I promise I'll go outside and I'll wave to you, if you Google Wyerton and look it up. But that's where I am. And I mentioned that because Rakesh was talking earlier about just enjoying the simpler things, enjoying time away. It's so valuable for us as entrepreneurs to take time away. My wife and I, we schedule this regularly to come up here for a few days just to stretch and relax and then go for walks on the beach and do that kind of stuff. But I want to talk to you a little bit about defining success. Because we all want to be successful, right? I mean, that's why you're here. You want to take your game to the next level. You want to grow to that next level. But oftentimes we don't define what success means to us. And we'll go to school, we'll get a career, we'll get our education, and we'll start working. We'll just put our head down and start going. But we won't really define where we want to go. We won't define what success means to us. And I know that if we did a poll with everybody that's on this call, that there would be a number of different definitions of success, and all legitimate. I mean, for some people, making $10,000, $20,000 a month is a legitimate success. And if that's your idea of success, that's wonderful. To make $120,000 to $240,000 a year, to put some money in the bank and buy your own home, retire when you're 65. If that's your idea of success, that's wonderful. For others, it's maybe making $500,000 to $1 million a year, and maybe not retiring at 65, but maybe 50, 55, and having more, just, taking Matt up on his opportunities and buying, multi-family homes and just generating greater income so that you can enjoy the life that you want. And if that's your idea of success, then that's amazing. For others, it's making multiple $1 million a year and never retiring, but just building a lifestyle of growing their wealth, for looking for multiple streams, of connecting with guys like Leo to learn about more deals, more opportunities within the city and around the city to continue to grow in multiple ways. I mean, he doesn't do just real estate. He's developed apps. He's done all kinds of things to continue to generate income. And if that's your idea of success, then that's wonderful. But I want to encourage you to define what success means to you. Because let's face it, we can't hit a target that we don't define, can we? I mean, if we all went outside and met someplace at the side of a building, and if I took a baseball and said, I'm going to hit that target and just throw it at the building, you would believe I hit it. But if I was more specific and just drew a circle on that building and threw that baseball and hit that circle, then you knew I was dialed in. I was zeroed in on exactly what I wanted. I was defining my goal. And that's what I want to encourage everybody here today. I mean, I love doing these moments where I don't have to sell anything. I've got nothing to sell. In fact, I'm just giving something away. At the end, I've asked Leo to put a PDF in the chat for a download that you can just take and use. There's no strings attached. There's nothing to it. I just want to create some value. But defining our success is very important. And here's why. I'll give you an example from my own life story. You know, 10 years ago, I was running my renovation and construction company. Today, I do more of the consulting and more managing. Back then, I was doing the stuff. I was on site. I was building the projects. I was securing the jobs. I was securing the finances to build the homes and do the stuff that I was doing. I had 5 or 6 people working for me. I had sub-trades. I had part-timers. Life was very busy. I had anywhere from 6 months to 24 months of work ahead of me all the time. But it was one of those things that I didn't really define the success of it. I was just busy. And you have to realize that you can't equate busyness for successfulness. They're two different things. We can be busy and accomplish nothing, or we can be more dialed in and be very successful. And for me at this time, I was working 60, 70 plus hours a week in that business. And as well, I've always been passionate about working with youth and with young adults. And I was serving in my local community as a youth leader, as a youth pastor for over 23 years. And I volunteered 20 to 24 hours a week on top of what I was doing inside my company. So you can imagine how busy my life was. One day I was sitting in my car just ready to go to another meeting. I had the car packed, everything ready to go. I got in, buckled up my seatbelt. I started the car and I went to back out, and life as I knew it just came to a halt. I sat in my car for 20 minutes trying to negotiate with my hand to pull the car in gear. I could not move. There was a complete disconnect between my mind and my body. And I sat there, my mind racing, my heart racing. I'm trying to convince my hand to pull the car in gear and go. But in that moment, I was completely burnt out. Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, I was just fried. After 20 minutes, the only move I could make was going inside, turning my car off, going inside, and calling the people, telling them I wouldn't be there. For the next 6 months, I struggled just to survive. I had nothing to give physically, emotionally. All those contracts I had for the next 24 months were gone. They went to other companies because I couldn't fulfill them. All the employees I had working for me, the sub-trades, they went off to other companies because I couldn't work. I'd work 1 or 2 days and I would be completely exhausted for 3 or 4 days. And it was all largely because I did not define my success. I was giving so much away, I wasn't keeping anything back for me. As entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people that want to take their life to the next level, you need to define your success. You wouldn't take an apartment deal or buy a house unless you had a clearly defined contract, correct? I mean, you would define everything in there. You'd have the location of the house, the size of the house, what was staying, what was going, all the conditions would be inside that contract. You would have it clearly defined. If you had to get financing for it, same thing. You would have clear definitions of what that looked like, wouldn't you? I mean, you wouldn't just allow your financial planner, you wouldn't allow Leo to give you a mortgage without any interest rate terms, without any payback terms, without any of those things. You would have everything clearly defined. So wouldn't it follow that if we want everything clearly defined in all the deals that we make, in our bank statements, I mean, we want everything itemized of what's come out, what's gone in, how things are taken care of. If we want that detailed, why don't we detail our own success that well? It would help us not to burn out as I did, because I was giving so much out, I had nothing left for myself, and I completely fried. And it was during that time that I realized that there was a huge cost for success. And I want to share that with you right now, because it's something that we need to calculate. Yes, the deals are great. Yes, there's amazing opportunities. Yes, the world is changing, but we can get ahead. You know, Manny was talking about that earlier. You know, there's new opportunities, absolutely amazing opportunities right now. But we need to understand the cost of success. It's going to cost us financially. You know, to invest or to start up, to do something new, we may have to borrow money or raise money or use some of our savings to do it. So there's a cost to us financially. There's also a cost to us in terms of time. Who has recognized or realized that it takes a lot of time to do some of these side hustles, to do some of these side deals, to work on apartments in your spare time, to work on rental properties or flip properties. It takes time to do that. And if you notice that we only have so much time in a week, you know, if you take the 7 days times 24 hours, that's 168 hours a week. That's how much time we have. And it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum, whether you're broke or a billionaire, you have 168 hours, no more, no less. I can't go to my neighbor and say, hey, you know, can you get by on a 158-hour week? If so, I'd love to borrow or buy 10 hours from you. I could really use a 178-hour week. I need more time. No, we have to use the time that we have and use it wisely. Learn how to leverage it. Learn how to use it to our advantage to get the most out of everything that we do. And there's also the energy that it takes for success. It takes energy, physical energy, emotional energy, mental energy, spiritual energy. And if we aren't well balanced and well refined in those areas of energy, it's going to deplete us, it's going to hurt us, it's going to cripple us. And that's why a lot of people don't succeed. So there's 3 key areas that we need to really evaluate and understand what it's going to cost us for success. For me, I know that 10 years ago, if I had to evaluated that and really looked at that, life as I knew it would be a lot different. I wouldn't have allowed myself to get so stretched out. I wouldn't have allowed myself to become energized and so stretched out financially, so stretched out in terms of my time. I wouldn't have allowed that to happen. So it caused me to create a daily routine. And that's really what I want to focus on for the next few minutes, is just focusing on a daily routine. Because I really believe that that's where it starts. You know, a lot of the speakers have been talking about repetition. Matt just mentioned it, you know, repetition, how you keep doing things over and over, how that builds success. It's the same thing with these success ideas, defining your success, that I want to share with you right now. The first is getting good rest. Who is all in favor of having a good night's sleep? I mean, we all love it. We probably don't do it as often or as much as we should. I mean, I know when I was younger, I would go on 4 or 5 hours sleep. I would do that for weeks. But I came to the point realizing that I needed to start my day right. I needed to start it with a good day's rest. One of the first things I do with my coach clients is I take them through the spectrum of time, and I'll say, okay, you got 168 hours. First of all, define how much you need for rest. Our body restores when we sleep. Our body needs to have that rest. Our mind gets refreshed. Our mind gets renewed, gets restored when we get a good night's sleep. And it's important that we structure that. We schedule that in first. We need to get selfish about it in order to have true success. I know I did. I had to get very selfish. During those couple of years as I was rebuilding my health and rebuilding my life, rebuilding my career, I had to get very selfish with it. Next, once you've got that and you know what you need for proper rest to be really refreshed, is start a morning routine. Just type in the chat right now if you have a good morning routine right now. I mean, most of you may be familiar with Robin Sharma's book, The 5 a.m. Club, and perhaps you do that. You know, if the 5 a.m. hour works for you, wonderful. If it's the 4 a.m. hour or the 6 a.m. hour, whatever it is that works for you, I encourage you to get up and start that. Too often people just get up at the last minute and just fire off and start their day. Or they're greeted by their children or their spouse just saying, come on, get up, it's time to get going. And then, you know, it's like these alarms are going off and we got to get going like crazy. Getting yourself up long before anybody else is up in your home and spending time with yourself. I get up in the morning, I have a 2-hour routine that I do every day now. I'm very selfish about it and I have no problem with it. You know, I think about airplanes. You know, most of us, if not all of us, have been on an airplane. And what happens once we get in our seat? The flight attendants come on and they start talking about fastening your seatbelts, and they talk about what? The cabin pressure, if it decreases, oxygen mask will pop down. And what do they tell you to do? They don't tell you to run around taking care of everybody else, get everybody else's mask on, make sure they're all secured and safe. And then if you make it back to your chair, put yours on. No, they tell you to put yours on first and look after everybody afterwards. And that's what you need to do. In order to be successful, in order to really help others, you need to be your very best. Once you become your very best, then you can help others in your circle become their very best. You cannot elevate a person to a next level if you've not gone to that level yourself. If you're not living in that level, if you're not rise up to that level, if you're not successful in that level, it's impossible for you as a leader to take them up to that higher place. So starting with the morning routine and taking care of yourself first is really important. I was sharing earlier when we were talking, and some of you may not have caught it, but I'm training to do a marathon this year. And so I schedule runs in through my week. And so part of my 2 hours is I go out and I do some short runs through the week. And then I will pray, I'll meditate, I'll read, I'll listen to some music. I'll do something to just feed my spirit, to feed my heart, to feed my soul, and then get a good breakfast, get myself ready for the day so that I'm prepared. You know, your mind is so activated and so ready to learn and so ready to go. It's important that you do stuff for you in the morning. So once you've got a morning routine, the next is obviously the daytime routine. I mean, most of us, you know, if you don't have a job, you've got a career, you've got a business, you've got other things you're doing as an entrepreneur, companies you're developing, things you're developing, but you've got a routine. And if you don't schedule it, Leo was talking about this morning, the importance of scheduling things. I've got a weekly schedule that I print off. It's an Excel sheet that I created. It starts at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I have 1 hour blocks up till midnight at night. And I do that 7 days a week. And I block in all the time that I got scheduled for the week. I block things in. I never overblock things, though. If you've got an 8-hour day, only schedule 7 hours of work so that you've got extra time. You've got margins, right? You know what the margins are? You know, when you're typing a letter or writing on paper, you've got those margins around the paper that you don't go out into them to keep you on the inside. So many of us in life, we just extend those margins to the edge of the paper, and we've got no room to do anything if something of emergency comes up or something doesn't go as well as we had planned, right? Because our margins are so tight. There's actually a great book called Margins, and look it up. It's absolutely fantastic. It'll challenge the way you schedule your time and schedule your day. It'll help you to get through your day and have time to breathe at the end of the day. I mean, how many would love to get through a day and be able to take a breath and be able to breathe and still have some energy, some time to give over to other people, right? I mean, we all want to have that. So it's learning how to schedule things through your day, regardless of what it is. You know, if you work for a company or you have a team or you have employees, you can schedule things out and accomplish what you need to. You know, Brian Tracy, he's a great teacher at this. He's got an expression he calls single handle. And what he means is when he sits down to do a task, he just grabs a hold of that one task and he does it. And that's all he focuses on. He doesn't focus on anything else. So eliminate distractions through your day. I mean, my cell phone almost always lives on silent. I check my text messages at scheduled times through the day. I check my emails at scheduled times through the day. I check my voicemails once a day. In fact, on my phone, if you call me on my phone, it's going to tell you. If you want to get me quicker, send me a text message, because I check that 3 times a day. I only check my phone messages once a day. Eliminate distractions so that you can focus. When you're working on a project, work on it. When you're sitting down to do something, do it. The way to increase time, Mir Ezra teaches this, and so does Raymond Aaron, is to eliminate delay. Just sit down and do the thing that you say you're going to do. Just single-handedly work on that thing until it's done. No distractions, no alerts. I'm amazed at the number of people, even adults my age, that I'm talking with, and then all of a sudden a phone alert goes off on their cell phone, and they stop and they get it. I had somebody ask me one time, their cell phone went off, and we were in the middle of a conversation, and a quite important one. And they said, "Do you mind if I get this?" And I said, "Yes, I do. You and I scheduled this time. That person, unless there's a fire or a death or an emergency at the end of that phone, you and I, this is more important." And so we need to respect the time that we have when we're in meetings with people or with people. Eliminate distractions, because it'll increase the time. It'll increase what you can get done in a day. How many of us don't love to, come home at the end of the day, or you come out of your home office and you emerge after being in there for a few hours? Who doesn't love the feeling of accomplishing everything that you had on your list? I mean, we just love that feeling. It's such a great reward to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish by the end of a day, or even at certain points of the day. I like to reward myself, during the day even. I'll say, okay, at lunch, I'm going to make a special lunch. If I get this, and this done, I'll give myself a reward. They did an experiment, some psychologists did an experiment a number of years ago with grade 1 students. They went into the classroom and they told the grade 1 students, they said, "Look, we're going to give each and every one of you a marshmallow." Of course, everybody's excited. You're 6 years old, a marshmallow, that's exciting. But they said, "Look, if you will wait, we're going to leave this room. And if we come back in 5 minutes and you haven't eaten your marshmallow, we'll give you another marshmallow. So you get 2 marshmallows." So they left the room and they had cameras set up around the room so they could see what was going on. Some of the kids, as soon as the door was closed, that was it. They just gobbled up the marshmallow. Others, they were coming up with very creative ways so that they wouldn't look at the marshmallow. They would put their book over top of it so they couldn't see it. They put their head down on their desk and cover their eyes. They did all kinds of things so that they didn't get distracted, so that they could get that extra marshmallow. And take a guess, and how many students actually got that extra marshmallow when they returned 5 minutes later? 3. 3 students out of the entire classroom had the discipline to allow themselves not to get distracted by that one, because they were going to get another one. They got rewarded. And that's what you can build into your day yourself. Build in rewards, build in things that you can reward yourself with. Next, once you've got your daytime routine done and you're coming home at nighttime, it's important that you make that shift. If you're in your home office, which many of us are now, or you're up north working out of your trailer, once you emerge and come out, it's important that you engage in the relationships with the people on the other side once you come out. I know a man that when he comes home from work, he parks the car, he gets out of his car and he walks up to the front door of the house. And as he's walking up, there's a pillar at the front porch. He hits that on the side. He taps it on the side as he's walking in. And what that does is it signals his brain, work is done. Now I'm engaging with my family. I'm engaging with the people on the other side of this door. Because if you've been gone for the day or half a day, those people, your children, your spouse, your partner, they're excited to have you back. They can't wait to spend time with you. And so it's important that we get to the place of engaging in those relationships. Because let's face it, as entrepreneurs, you're building businesses, you're building legacies, you're building finance, you're building wealth. For what? For those people that you love, the people that are in your life. It's sad, the number of people that build businesses and have nobody to share with it. Dr. Gray was talking about that yesterday with Steve Jobs. At the end of his life, he was lonely. He didn't have anybody to share his wealth, his life with. And so it's important that we engage in those relationships. When I come home at the end of the day, my wife and I, we schedule from 5 to 7 o'clock. We have, no place to be. We're not traveling. We're not doing anything. If we're home, we schedule 5 to 7 o'clock. No distractions, no cell phones. It's just the 2 of us. We make dinner. We'll sit down. We'll do something together. We'll watch Netflix. We'll do something together for those 2 hours with no distractions. Don't be the person like the typical old dad from back in the 50s. He was home but never home, right? He was there but he wasn't present. Be engaged, be fully engaged with the people that you want to, that you're building this career for, that you're building this lifestyle for. Be engaged and be with them. And next, the evening time, I really discovered is an important time. I mean, sometimes we have busy days and we just want to put our feet up and forget about it, right? We want to forget about the day. We want to forget about life. We want to forget about everything. Well, if you've scheduled that in and you've got a day, an evening that you're not going to do anything, that's wonderful. But the evening times are great times to reflect on the day, reflect on your relationships, reflect on the things that you've done. How many of us have been in a business meeting that it didn't go quite as well as we thought it could go? Or maybe we responded to an employee or somebody that we worked with in a very sharp way. Maybe we talked to our spouse or our kids in a way that we shouldn't have. In the evening time, I like to spend a little bit of time just reflecting on my day, how I could do things better, how I could articulate things or communicate things in a better way. I'll go through the dialogue, I'll go through the scenario, and then the next time that comes up, I'll work on doing that. Those are amazing things to do in the evening. As well, don't check out, because spending quality time with kids, with our children, with our spouse, our partners is very important as well, to schedule those things in through the week. And as I said, just keeping a short inventory on what you do, what you say, how you react, how you didn't react in a certain situation, so that the next time it comes up, you can do a better job at it. Does that make sense? Then I like to encourage people to take some time before they go to bed just to get themselves set up for a good night's rest. I mean, we talking about sleep, we talked about rest right at the very beginning. Who's all for getting a good night's rest? I mean, we all want it, but too often we just, flop into bed because we're just exhausted, we're dead tired, or we just finish, doing some really stressful proposal, or, working on a complicated, ClickFunnels, or doing something, and then we just try to crash and go to bed, and our mind is still going, our mind is still racing. It's so important that we take a little bit of time and unwind. Just taking a half an hour, just before we go to bed. If you're going to bed at 11 o'clock, 10:30, start shutting things down, and then take that time just to allow your brain just to unwind. Listen to some music, just do some meditation, do some prayer, whatever it is that helps you unwind and forget about the day, forget about those stresses, so that you can set yourself up for a good night's rest. No matter how busy I get, no matter what time I come home, if I'm, late, let's say I'm in the city doing something and I'm late coming home from an event, or late getting in the evening, it doesn't matter if it's 12 or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I still like to take a half an hour just to unwind. Even if it's just 15 minutes, just sitting in my bed, just reading a book that I have beside my nightstand, just kind of reading that book and just forgetting about the day. And disciplining yourself. Don't allow thoughts to come in and rob you of your sleep. I keep a notepad and a paper and a pen beside my bed, so that if I get a thought as I'm starting to drift off, and I get a thought or an idea or something comes up, and I think, oh, I don't want to forget about that, and I don't want to think about it all night long either, so I write it down. I'm amazed at how well I can write in the dark. I'll just reach over and I'll just scribble it on the paper, and in the morning I'll read it and it'll remind me, and then I'll deal with it. Don't allow things to disrupt your rest. Because how many are here and want to be in it for the long haul? How many are developing businesses and growing businesses and want to enjoy the fruit of those? I mean, we don't want to work like crazy and build businesses and do the things that we're doing only to suffer with poor health and fatigue as we get older. And I certainly don't wish anyone to go through the experience I did with the burnout. That is not a good place to be. But if you do not define your success and do not set yourself up in a way to be more successful, you could be one meeting away from that same demise. You could be one meeting away from emotional burnout, physical burnout, mental, spiritual burnout. It's important that we take care of those 4 areas by feeding ourselves in a morning routine, looking after those things. It's impossible to have 100% balance in everything that we do. It's impossible. Life is always going to change. Things are changing. Things are altering all the time. But if we're taking care of ourselves physically, if we're taking care of ourselves spiritually, if we're taking care of ourselves emotionally, if we're taking care of ourselves in our relationships, then when things happen, then we've got that cushion. We can adjust. Does that make sense? That's what I want to encourage us with. And that's what Leo is going to put in the chat. He's going to put in the chat. He's going to give you the link for the guide that I want you to use. And I want to finish off. I got 30 seconds. I want to encourage you with one last thing. When I look back 10 years ago, I looked at how much energy I was putting into things. I was doing a lot of stuff, but I wasn't giving 100% in any one thing. I was doing enough just to get by. And if you were honest, would you say you're giving 100% to your work, 100% to your business, 100% to your family, 100% to your relationships? I want to encourage you today in August 1st, 2020, and saying, look, from this day forward, 100% is the only acceptable level for anything that I do. Define the success, define the things that make sense, connect with the right mentors, connect with the right people so that you can take your success to the next level. But whatever you do, put 100% into it and accept nothing less than 100%. I wish you the greatest success in everything that you do. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Jim. It's an amazing presentation. It's a big awakening for everybody because you simply said that suddenly you couldn't move your hand so that you couldn't steer the car. It happens to many people right after they recover. Of course, they again forget that thing. Then they again go back to the same old story, and of course, suddenly big thing will hit them. So it's a real story
Yes.
of Jim, and of course, the big learning through his all these years of experience. He put this one. He could have simply gone to his construction, or he could have gone back to his relationship coaching or whatever. But he really felt this information is more valuable than anything else. Of course, I understand that. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for your time.